Hey everybody, it's Russ, and we are here in Seattle. We are hanging out at Rodriguez Bicycles. It is a institution here in Seattle, and we were here with Dan, who is the owner, and Logan. And I'm gonna get a chance to test ride one of their bikes, but before I go ride it, we're gonna get a little tour. So tell us about Rodriguez and just this space.
Well, we're actually probably the oldest manufacturer of tandems, still producing tandems in the United States.
So this is not a tandem though.
Well, it's kind of a tandem. It's a bicycle built for five.
What do you call a bike built for five? It's
Quint.
A quint, okay.
Now this one converts into a triple.
Okay.
So you can pull the center two sections out.
That is a lot of bicycle.
That is a lot of bicycle. It's 15 it's 15 feet 4 inches long from wheel tip to wheel tip. Our shop may be one of the only shops our size that builds every single bicycle one at a time, as if it was a custom. You've got a fit bike. The old one, the very first one we made back in the 1990s, you had to have them, okay, now stop pedaling and get off, and then we would make adjustments and we put them back on. And this one, they can actually be riding the bike and we can just grab these handles and run the front end out.
So what does this guy do?
That just is a quick way to raise and lower the handlebars or seat. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. This is our museum. This qualifies as our museum. That is a 1973 custom Rodriguez 73 track bike.
Oh wow.
1979 tandem. That tandem was in the Bicycling magazine in 1980. They called it the most advanced tandem I've ever seen.
Cool.
Looks pretty antique now.
Yeah. Do you guys do all the manufacturing here?
Yeah, so I'll take you down to show you.
Okay.
This is a very...
One-stop shop.
Yeah, that drawing that we did upstairs will come down here. This is not actually where we make bicycles. This is where we make bicycle parts.
Okay.
The Bushnell eccentric bottom bracket was our patent. We made that in here for a decade or so.
Wow.
We ended up selling that patent off because we're making way for a new project that we're going to do. This is where we build the frames. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of, we see it as, that's mass production room. So when we're making something where we're going to make 1,000 of exactly the same thing, it happens in that room.
Right.
This is artisan room.
Right.
Every bicycle in here, everything that happens in here happens one at a time.
So what's from from fit to ordering the bike to you guys building it? What's generally like the lead time?
4 to 6 weeks.
Oh wow, that's freaking fast.
Yes, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And the tooling that you'll see in here is all one of a kind.
Did you guys build this jig as well, or
every piece of tooling in here is we made? Yeah.
Wow.
So somebody who worked here made this.
That's impressive.
This started out as a 4-inch slab of steel from a print shop.
Yeah.
And then various people that have worked here through the years have added to it.
So is this why you guys can work so fast? It's just you have all the tooling in place and it's dialed?
Yeah, and so for instance, this piece here, when you look at how a tube is mitered, normally done on a mill like you saw in the other room, it takes forever to adjust the mill to make one cut. Because it takes forever to adjust the mill, you want to cut 10 at the same time. Right. Which works great if you're building 10 of the same size bicycle. We did that until 2006. We'd always say, okay, we're going to make 20, size 56 men's race bikes. Right. So we would be, setting up the machines and cutting 20. It'd take you 40 minutes to set up, and if you amortize that over 20 frames, it's 2 minutes a frame for that cut. That's not bad. This can be adjusted in about 30 seconds to make a cut. It started as that motor. Our old head frame builder, Dennis Bushnell, just made all of this. This is why custom bikes normally cost a lot more than a production bike. Companies are kind of forced into using inefficient tooling. Right. So they're using tooling that's designed for mass production, and it takes you 8 hours to get a frame ready to weld. Right. This takes us about 45 minutes to get a frame ready to weld. The way the frames are aligned and the way we used to line them, the way everybody lines them, is they put them on a table and they measure from here to here, and then they measure from here to here. And they see what the difference is, and they know if the head tube's twisted, or if they... But the extrapolation is only as long as that head tube is, or as long as that seat tube is. We use a system of lasers that extrapolate out over 5 feet. So our point of accuracy, so if you can look, you can see this laser point right there. So if I move this out here, see it's a line? So if it's right down the middle of that black line in the middle, that's perfect alignment. If it's out to one of those gray lines, It represents about 1 millimeter in the old way of measuring, but it's like 7 millimeters there.
Right.
We can get a lot more accuracy with this method of aligning a frame.
So how would you do you have to heat up the frame again? And
I
then...
use heat in like specific points. I would heat in a small section depending on how out of alignment it is. I'll heat a section as long as I think it would need to be to pull the frame as much as I'd want it to. This would be micro. You know, you want to heat perfectly on the side of the tube to get the tube, as this will shrink, it'll pull the tube over a little bit.
So that sounds like a lot of like art in that aspect,
Yeah,
like just knowing the material.
A lot of it's by feel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? It's, you can't really teach someone unless you can, I mean, because you can go into the metallurgy of it and talk about the structures, but that doesn't teach you how to do it. That just kind of explains in your brain what's happening when you're putting heat on it.
So it's kind of like truing a wheel, but like on a
it's
bigger
like
scale.
It's like truing a wheel with heat. Like if you just heated the edge of your rim and it pull over a little bit.
Yeah.
But most of the time we pull the frames off the table and it's a micro amount.
Looks light.
Wow.
Where's it weigh?
Nothing.
Impressive.
Oh, holy smokes!
You want to
This
see
is
something really impressive?
this is pretty ridiculous.
That's the one I think he was going to set you up on.
Okay. Right, so this is the bike I'm going to get a chance to ride. It's called the Finney Ridge, and it's kind of their all-rounder bike set up with some pretty supple-looking gravel kings. So I'm just going to do a quick fit just to make sure it's kind of ballparked in the right area. I'll be riding it the next couple days and come up with a video review. Bye. Thanks so much. Thanks again for the tour. Bye. All right. So we just wrapped up a tour over at Rodriguez Bikes, and I've got the Finney that I'm going to be riding the next couple days. Nice guys.
Yes. Yeah, super cool to see all that they've done and built and that they are capable of doing down in that basement.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. They don't just make bikes, they make tools, they make parts for bikes. They've got the system dialed. Super impressed that their turnaround time's like a month for a custom bike. That's bonkers.
4 to 6 weeks, he said.
Right, so this is a bike. I think I'm gonna ride this at our Swift event tomorrow and go on a ride with them on Sunday. That's it for this video. Stay tuned for all our Seattle videos coming up. And as always, keep this upside down.